standing up in friendship. You know, at least there's some shelter up there. That little shelter, when it's rainy or snowy, is not great, and it's dark up there. And if you're a lady by yourself waiting for the bus up there in that teeny little shelter in the dark in the winter at 6, 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, you get a little nervous after a while. And again, you get one shot at a new bus rider. They're going to have that experience, and they will never use that bus again. And that's what you're up against when you live up here, because everybody does have a car in front of their house. But, you know, a bus would be a viable alternative. Keep in mind that according to WMATA's own statistics, 400 and some odd people use that bus every day. That's 400 trips where people are not using an automobile. That has implications. And just the final point I'd like to make is one of the positives to this new purported route is that it'll come on weekends, right? It will be 7 days a week. My concern is, again, having weathered everything and watched what WMATA did and has done with the E6 is, well, maybe it'll start that way. But when nobody uses the bus, because it only comes every maybe every 40 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever the time period is, pretty soon we'll be here saying, well, that didn't really work because the numbers, which they will look at, and they'll point to the numbers and say, see, nobody uses the bus. Well, again, if you want to run your errands on a weekend and if people are busy and they're working and it only comes every half an hour or 40 minutes, everybody's going to jump in their cars. And that's something that I think needs to be pointed out, that that's what you're competing against. Thank you.
Michaela, I have one question for you.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, I have here with me our email exchange about a year ago. And I believe you sent me in that email the survey you did on the E6.
I don't know what I did.
It was change.org petition.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah,
Right.
we've got a whole bunch of signatures.
Is it still closed? Is it open or still closed?
You know, I haven't looked at it in a long time. I don't know. And some people didn't want to sign it. You know, they don't want to, because change.org is a public group and they weren't very comfortable signing it. I mean, I'm happy to go and get circulate a petition again. We've done that once and we certainly can do it again. But again, the fundamentals are still not being addressed by WMATA, and they just don't want to hear it. The woman up at Tenley, she was very polite and she listened to me for a half an hour. But at the end of the day, it's going to be top to the hand because they just don't seem, this doesn't resonate to them. And they're fine with excluding us despite what the mayor has said. And I was in that meeting when the mayor said, and I've spoken directly to the mayor about the E6, and she was supported when she was a council member here in Upper Northwest. But at the end of the day, she was also part of the group that ultimately reduced the schedule of the E6 bus. And after you stand up there at Friendship Heights and you wait for the bus, you decide you're just walking home after a while.
Here's a question, perhaps for us others from the chat. For clarification, for clarification, why is it now necessary for the M4 to run on weekends? And how frequently will these buses fly?
Sorry, what was the question?
I thought it said 30. I thought it said 30 minutes. I have to go back and check, but 30 minutes on the weekend. And it is a fairly good schedule. I mean, based on the fact that we had tried, when they tried to eliminate the E6 before, we have tried for years to get weekend service. And at one point we'd even proposed maybe taking one of the e-buses that run down and perhaps running it through the neighborhood. That went nowhere. But even if it comes once every half an hour, it's just not going to work very well for anyone who's remotely busy. I mean, you really have to be vested and committed to public transportation to do the half an hour wait. I'm pretty committed to it, and I'll do the half an hour wait, and I'll do something on my, on my iPad or something. But not everybody wants to do. My neighbors roll their eyes when I walk around with my petition. I can't get them out of their cars. I've tried. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
I was going to ask about the issue. David Patton. I live on 28th Street. I'm a longtime Metro user on the M4 and Metro Rail for my job in Virginia. And I'm not conversant with the new plan, but I wondered if the M4-ish or the 201 route, whether there were plans for weekend service, and that's just been raised by those folks.
Yep, come to the mic.
Hi, I'm Jude Burke. I live at 7008 Street, right down the block from Commissioner Gore. I'm here to advocate, because I've got a child at Deal, one at Jackson Reed, and one at Walls, and we rely on the M4 to get to school, and it's been atrocious this year. So I would like them to expand so that all of the M4s run through Hawthorne and not leave out. There's a couple routes during the morning rush and the PM rush that don't come all the way to Knollwood. They stop at Pinehurst Circle. In the morning, the one that's supposed to leave Knollwood at 8:07 has been terrible this year. So I often have to drive my kids to school, and then I'm contributing to the traffic there on Nebraska in front of Deal and Jackson Reed. The one that's supposed to leave at 7:37, my Walls student takes that, and that's been pretty reliable. But even in the afternoon, where a lot of the buses coming from Tenley stop at Pinehurst and don't go all the way to Hawthorne, and then my kids got to walk home from Hawthorne, and it feels like we're being punished for living there. And also, I think it's the last one of the night doesn't come all the way to Hawthorne either. So if my daughter's studying with friends or something, she's got to walk home from Pinehurst, which again, it's just, you know what I'm talking about. So if every M4 came through Hawthorne, it'd be a lot easier for my kids to get to and from school.
Great, I agree. I've had to listen to someone's complaints about them. Well, you're right. I mean, and you know, when they have that E6 bus, y'all could take the E6 straight from Pinehurst and it would come all the way up to.
And it's really now when they go these, you never walk.
Right. Okay. On that one, yeah. Okay, was there anyone else in the audience that had any raised? Anyone else online? Okay, this has been great. So, with that, I'm gonna, propose a motion. I move that ANC 34G.
I'm gonna send some further written comments in to you guys. Does that work?
Yes.
Great, thanks.
I move that ANC 34G issue a resolution on the WMATA visionary network with bus routes and schedules that highlights: 1, a summary of the WMATA proposal and comment period; 2, the proposal's intent to eliminate the M4 route and the commission's opposition to its elimination; 3, the community and commission's concerns with eliminating the M4 route; 4, concerns with the new, and I just say as a caveat, hey, give me your name again? Cynthia explained the route and numbering, but the new DC 200-201 replacement routes or new names for the M4 and E4 bus routes. 5, the history and opposition, both community and ANC, of the elimination of the E6 bus route. 6, the ANC's renewed call to reinstate the E6 bus route. 7, the ANC's call to extend the time frame for community feedback from June 5th to 45 or 60 days from that date. 8, that the chair and commissioner for our single member district 3G02 represent the commission in this matter. 9, the resolution only be issued upon majority approval of all commissioners. And 10, the resolution and cover letter be submitted to WMATA no later than June 5th, 2023, 5 p.m. Do I have a second? Yeah, but do I need a second first? Second. Okay. Okay, friendly.
The only E6, we want to reinstate the E6 bus route.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add, in addition to what we're on 26, the ANC's renewed call to reinstate the E6 bus route is to have from WMATA release the determining the decision around its elimination. Now, how they have an obligation to tell us why it was moved in, it's like to make sure that they honor that obligation.
Okay, I'll accept that for sure. Thank you. Any other questions, Commissioner?
Also potentially friendly amendment, which would shape point 3 of that in regard to eliminating the M4 by specifying that they have a replacement cost for it. But there are limitations with respect to the service, as noted, it doesn't go to civil hospital. We might want to be a little more specific as to the limitations with that replacement. And then incorporating what Cindy had suggested, which is to recommend that they increase the frequency under the proposal of the new DC, if that designation sticks to a 1. That is from the 15, 30 minutes to have it run. What would you say, Cynthia, at least every 20 minutes?
Yeah, I think 20 minutes would be.
Right, so those would be a little more specificity around the success of the route to the M4. There will be to make clear us that replaces the M4, so we're not using that service entirely.
Right. And we, so this is just the outline of the resolution, not the specifics. So we will have an opportunity to craft our typical 4-page resolution with a lot of specifics in there.
Okay.
But yes, I'll accept that from you, and I noted that. Does someone else down here have one? Okay, any more comments on the commission?
The only observation, this one was buses were fast in 10 minutes, so. like
Yes.
10 to within 10 to 20 minutes.
Probably when 10. See, yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you. Yes,
Commissioner Board, just as a question, another person attendees is sending you a follow-up email. And others do that.
definitely. Yeah, and I'll explain that once I get a passing vote.
Also, those route numbers are not necessarily the permanent route.
Yeah, she explained, we got that. Yes, I call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 7-0. Thank you, commissioners. And so for community members, just to kind of give you guys a little input how we'll do this. Most of the time, the ANC has a resolution drafted prior to the meeting. This will be the first time for us as a new commissioner, new commission, pretty much, where we'll be working on the draft resolution. We'll post that and try to get it up with 7-day notice so the community can put their comments on it. And then we'll definitely get it out on June 5th, 5 p.m. because worst case scenario, I don't want WMATA coming back saying, you guys didn't have it on time. So we will post it on our website. I'll send it on my newsletter, the ANC newsletter. We'll put it in the listserv so that you guys can see what we drafted. And if you have additional comments, please give it to us. You have great feedback. Thank you so much for coming and giving us feedback on this topic. It really means a lot because we have been fighting this as a community for a long time. So we just got to stick with it. Thank you, guys.
Commissioner Gardner, again, to thank Cynthia for her great work.
Definitely.
Super helpful, Cynthia. Thank you so much. And Lois for coming and speaking again on behalf of the E6 and others for coming and joining this conversation. You represent a lot of people, at least in my single member district, who are passionate about bus service and are invested in this issue. So
I agree. And I know I got most of your names on a spreadsheet. The ones that I don't, I'm going to add you. I know Jude, we talked about this for a while. I mean, also get to know each other so that you might have ideas just in terms of, community, which you might want to do outside the ANC. And that's why, Michaela referenced your petition. Maybe you guys want to recirculate that. I think it's a good idea for us to append that petition, because I think we have right now roughly 260, 270 signatures, which is a lot. I mean, that's a good portion, that's a good amount of people that did not want that E6 to go. So get to know each other and continue to help fighting this fight with us. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so we have Greg Lunsky here from DDOT. He's going to talk about the capital bike share program here at ANC 34G. We're not making a vote, there's no resolution, this information, we've got 10 minutes to discuss. We can take questions after we hear from Greg and hand it over to him, but just so you know, we only have 2 stations in our 14,000 person ANC. One is a few blocks away at Safeway, 1 block, and the other is at the bottom. So we only have 2, but without any question, let's add this to here. Greg is going to tell us more about bike share here in 34G.
All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. Let me bring up my screen here real quick. It says screen sharing is disabled. Could you undisable or enable? There we go. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Coming up right now. All right. Stuff out of my way. All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Hi. As I mentioned, my name is Greg Matleski. I'm a bicycle program specialist here with the District Department of Transportation. I help manage the expansion of the capital bike share system for the District of Columbia. And so I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to go right into it. So apologies if I go a little fast. I'll make sure to have this presentation publicly available afterwards. Waiting for my screen share. All right, there we go.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Commissioner Dawson, I just want to. We all are rapid transition from virtual to hybrid. We don't have the capacity yet to have presentation like this put up on the screen. I think we're going to talk later today tonight about getting that capacity, but we're kind of limping towards hybrid. So just go ahead, Greg.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I know, Commissioner, you had asked for a copy of these slides before. I was actually out of the office today, so I didn't see that until right before this meeting. So my apologies. But anyway, going right into it. What is Capital Bike Share? You may be wondering to yourself. It's public transit, believe it or not. It's the DC area's public bike sharing service, launched back in September of 2010. It's the first citywide bike sharing system in the country. Since that time, we've had over 26 million trips taken on the system. I think that number is actually out of date, but over 14,000 residents, DC residents, are members. But we are not owned by Lyft. We are a public transit service owned and operated by the District of Columbia, 6 other member jurisdictions in Maryland and Virginia. So how it works, basically, very, very simple. You can join. There's different membership tiers. You can join for just a single trip. You can join for a year membership. And when you get that, that allows you to unlock one of the many thousands of bikes available in over 700 stations across the DMV area. You ride it, take as many short trips as you want. If you're a member, you get 45 minutes free of every trip. After that, starts costing 5 cents a minute. But when you're done, you return the bike to a station and go on your way. It's great. This is just our membership tiers here. Single trip, $1 to unlock, 24-hour pass is $8 a day, and then the annual membership. It's about $95 for the year, which equates to about $8 a month. Great, best deal in transit here in the district, I presume. I take anyway. The 2 bikes we have, you've seen a lot of them. So we have the red classic bike. This has been our bread and butter since 2010. In 2021, we've introduced new e-bikes. These are what we call pedal assist bikes that provide up to 20 miles per hour of assist while you're pedaling the bike. And it helps make biking more accessible to people, for older or more infirm, or people who just don't want a bike, or tackling those hills and our oppressive DC summers. And Community Partners program is a program that Capital Bike Share has to offer low or no cost memberships to qualifying individuals, low-income folks, as well as our Capital Bike Share for All program. But the reason I'm here tonight is to talk about system expansion and what we're looking at in the ANC 34G neighborhood. So Brief note on our system expansion. It's guided by this document, the 2020 Capital Bikeshare Development Plan. This was an update to earlier development plan, I think in 2017. Basically, it looked at areas where to guide expansion of the system. And it broke those down to 3 different types: revenue, ridership, and access. But anyway, so it came up with this nice little map you see here on the bottom right. These green dots are areas identified for higher priority, whereas the yellow dots, or excuse me, the lighter green dots are like a lower priority. But as you can see up in the ANC 34G area, we have a ton of high priority areas that were identified in this plan. Also, we have Move DC, which is the district's sort of long-term transportation plan. One of our goals is to have a capital Bikeshare station within a quarter mile of 90% of the district's population. And we're well on our way to meeting that goal. But we historically install about 20 new stations a year. So we've gotten some requests from folks in the neighborhood to add more stations to the neighborhood. So we've identified several sites. Some are more shorter term stations we can install probably in the next year or so. And then longer term stations that are, we would come in maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, or maybe a little over a year. We'll go into them right now. This first station here, I'm gonna show, this isn't showing correctly. My apologies, it's cutting off the caption there in the corner, but basically we have 3 stations that we're looking at more of the shorter term. One is at the intersection of 32nd and Birch Streets Northwest. This is an aerial photograph you'll see right here. This is a footprint photo here. It would basically, we looked at a site that would be located in streets. It's on a street that doesn't have a lot of traffic, not a lot of parking demand, so it wouldn't be too much of an impact on residents, we feel. I should mention that these are just suggestions. These aren't necessarily set in stone. We're happy to talk with the community on specific locations and making adjustments. So just want to make that clear. We're not saying we're going to do this tomorrow. This is just what we're thinking and what we would like to do. So so that's 32nd and Birch. Moving on, the next site is at Pinehurst Circle Northwest. So I guess Pinehurst, to be a 15 dock station here, we would pave a pad for this. Here's the aerial photograph here, and then a footprint photo. And then the third site, this one that was actually suggested by someone in the neighborhood at the intersection of, I guess, 33rd Street and Broad Branch Road Northwest, just north of Military Road. There's this big gored out area here that you can see that is it's not for parking, not for driving, anything. So it's kind of dead zone. So we could occupy that space with a nice capital Bikeshare station to help provide transit connection in the neighborhood. So here's a little map of what these sites would look like. I don't know if everything is showing up on your end. I apologize. I have a lot of stuff on Zoom. I don't know if that blocks anything, but this legend here, the red stars with the yellow interior, those are the shorter term stations. Those are the stations we would probably install within the next year or so. You can see them here at 32nd and Birch, Pinehurst Circle, 33rd Street and Broad Branch Road Northwest. Excuse me. And then the longer term stations, I didn't have time to go into these. These are ones that are maybe 2 or so years down the road, but we're looking at Nebraska and Oregon Avenue Northwest, Nebraska and Utah Avenue Northwest, and Utah Ave and Tennyson Street Northwest. So this is all to expand the network into the Hawthorne, Barnaby Woods, Chevy Chase neighborhoods, and connect to the existing locations at Broad Branch and Northampton and Connecticut and McKinley. So that's all I have. I'm happy to answer questions and talk about these specific locations. So yeah, thanks for having me. Opening the floor.
Great, thank you so much. We'll start, commissioners, do you want to? Let's go to the chair one.
Okay, thank you. So you just brought all the controversy to my SMD.
My specialty.
So that's 01, which is Hawthorne and parts of Barnaby Woods. I live right around the corner from 32nd and Birch, and Pinehurst is also my SMD. I'm really curious about the one on 32nd and Birch. How did you get to, because I literally live down the street from that. It's not a high traffic corridor at all. I mean, nobody's there. I'm just really surprised that that would be a location. I know that area super well. I don't even think most people in Hawthorne would even know it existed. I'm just kind of curious how you picked that one in particular. I do think Pinehurst is probably a great spot. But I'm really curious about the one on Birch, 32nd and Birch.
Yeah, of course. Happy to chat. So originally this one at 32nd and Birch, we originally scoped it. I don't know if you can see my cursor here, but we were looking at actually a little closer to, or excuse me, it's up here, a little closer to Rock Creek Park, similar to the Nebraska and Oregon Avenue location. So we looked at 32nd and, or excuse me, Chestnut Street and Oregon Avenue Northwest. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough solar power there. So our stations, I should have mentioned before, are entirely solar powered, entirely modular, self-contained. So they need at least, one of the requirements is at least 4 hours of direct sunlight per day to keep them operating. And so that location unfortunately did not work out because we did not get enough solar, because there was a lot of tree cover in the neighborhood, which is lovely. But unfortunately, it's not the most conducive to bike share. So that was sort of like the closest we could get to like Rock Creek Park, and have it be suitable. So again, that's just a suggested location. If you have another location in mind, we're happy to take a look. This is just something we're throwing out here to get a discussion going. But also the fact that it is sort of a low traffic street was one of the reasons why we put it there as well, because the sidewalks here are not wide enough to accommodate a Capital Bike Share station. So we would have to put something in street. Paving a pad in this area would be a little tough because it's a lot of people's front yards. So we thought put it in the street on a low traffic street. That's where we tend to put our stations in street. But again, we're happy to talk other locations. So.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you, gave us this information. I'm definitely going to take this back to my district. I'll also probably have some alternative suggestions. Just personally walking that neighborhood for years, knowing the folks that live around there, I just don't think that, I think usership is going to be a major issue right there, because you're at the bottom of the hill. I mean, people that come from Rock Creek, so even if you're walking from my street, which is 31st, to the park, I walk over to Chestnut, the complete opposite way of 32nd, and hit the entrance of the park right there. I mean, that spot is usable by the people just poorly immediate to that area. I just think it is going to be a low usership area. People that are walking in the area, I don't know. I'll give you some other suggestions. I think that one is going to be problematic.
We're happy to receive them. Thank you.
Can I speak to one of the places? Yeah.
We're gonna go to community with commissioners first, and we'll go right to you. We'll start with you.
Just one comment to Commissioner Ferguson. If you're looking for places in your SMD, I believe 5333 Connecticut Avenue was promised as a condition.
Solar.
Promised this ANC as a condition of building that building, that they would host a station.
I heard sunlight was the issue.
It's actually the MOU is on our website.
All right, okay. Jim, do you mind if we go to community, or you want to get in?
What?
Community.
Oh,
New rules.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Oh, I just, my name is Leora Hogstein.
We got microphones.
My computer. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, my name is Leora Hogstein. I live directly across the street from Utah and Tennyson. I'm on 6233 Utah, and I'm right across the street from that triangle where the slip is going to be, the slip proposal. And I have not opposed that proposal, although I'm totally fine with the status quo. I'm very happy for that triangular green space that's right there. And in fact, I contribute to the beautification of that space. I have other neighbors who are the green thumb for that space, but I provide the water and the hose that's been used for years to irrigate that space. So I'm very happy with that. And I understood that the slip proposal, the idea was to keep that space green and make it even greener. And now that I'm seeing this bike share proposal, which I just found out about last night, not happy with that for a number of reasons. One, it takes away from the green space of that little area. And two, we're already, those of us on Utah are already on a fairly busy street. And it would just draw more traffic with those vans that come to tend to the bikes. I'm not opposed to bike riding. I'm a biker myself. I've used these bike shares around the city. I just don't know that we need one right at Utah and Tennyson, especially if there's one at Pinehurst, which is like a quarter mile away. The one at Broad Branch is less than a mile away. I was told there might be one near the Murray complex in St. John's, although I don't think you mentioned that here, so maybe that's just a rumor. But it seems like we're gonna have a lot of bike shares and people who need those will have access. Just to be clear, most people in our neighborhood ride their own bikes around. And there's no metro stop right at that Utah and Tennyson. There's no retail space. It's highly residential, as you were mentioning about your neighborhood. And I just don't really like the idea of less green space, more traffic when it's not necessary and everyone can walk 10 minutes to get to a bike. So I guess that's my spiel.
All right, thank you.
And also I wonder, sorry, last question is, again, I'm not sure how you picked that space because when we were shown the initial slip proposal, that was not in there. So it seems like we all got on board with the slip proposal and then all of a sudden something new is added last minute. So found that a little confusing.
This will be a quickly through that because Leora's point well taken about the slip proposal. When Joel Berger came to the ANC on February 27th, gave us a PowerPoint presentation. Turns out that there was a little indication on one of the maps. Commissioner Ferguson pointed that out about potential bike share location. However, when the notice of intent to do that work was distributed to the neighbors, that was not in the proposal. And we walked the site, we talked to all the neighbors, we got all their feedback. Greg, this is just kind of an internal coordination thing at DDOT. And I have a note to Joelle, she's out at the office, she's returning tomorrow to confirm what the plan is there that we've seen and all the neighbors have commented. So it's just a kind of a procedural thing as well. This was not in the plan of everybody now.
So yeah, I'm not sure if just one resident can make a request and then bike share ends up in front of someone's house or how this process works, because I just feel like the whole community should be asked about this.
Yeah, we won't clarity on that.
All right, so we're gonna take a few more comments, but keep in mind we have 10 minutes for this entire segment, so we're gonna ask everyone to be brief so we can hear everyone. Okay, can we start here with Josh?
So I want to clarify about the Pinehurst Circle one. It looked like in the picture that it was going to be inside the field there off the sidewalk. And to me, the kids play in that area a lot. That adds an issue for them and running into things. There's already a bike rack at the end of the field, at the end in the corner. That's already there. You can make it even bigger, but to put it in the middle there where the kids play and people walk on that sidewalk all the time, I think is potentially dangerous.
Thank you.
Great. Hi there. Thanks to the commissioners for this great discussion, valuable topic. I have one comment and one question for Greg. Hi everyone, Josh Rising. I live at 3506 Patterson. So first, my comment kind of on the locations. I do want to echo what Peter said around 53333 Connecticut, right? Military and Connecticut being the intersection. That would definitely be the highest yield place within 34G to get a station. I know there are some constraints there with space to find the best location for it, but having a station there would be a very high priority. So Greg, or you to kind of work with the commission to see if there's a way you could get one at that station, at that location. That would be high yield. So Greg, the question I had for you had to do with rebalancing. As you likely know, there have been a lot of problems with stations in Ward 3 where people ride the bikes downtown and then leave them downtown, which is great. Like, you don't want to be able to ride these wherever, but it is uphill to get back here. So the challenge then is that the docks don't get restocked with the bikes frequently enough. It's been a big problem in the AU area, and I would imagine it could be a problem with further stations kind of here as well. So Greg, could you tell us just a little bit about what you're doing with your contractor to help address the challenges of rebalancing here in Ward 3?
Yeah, of course. Just for folks that aren't aware, rebalancing means adding bikes to docks that don't have them and then taking bikes away from full docks to keep the system operating, to allow, keep a healthy supply of bikes and docks at stations. So this is a complaint we've heard quite a lot, and we're well aware of it. I'm frustrated by it as well. Some neighborhoods in DC, particularly in Ward 1 and up here in Upper Ward 3, have some issues with rebalancing, where bikes aren't returned, or our contractor isn't rebalancing docks as much as we would like. So unfortunately, they are meeting, our contracted operator Lyft is meeting its contractual obligations. So what we're doing at the moment is we're modifying our contract with them to basically, we're changing, I think, the definition of rebalancing. Basically, we had one definition from like 2010 up until about 2018 or 2019. And we changed this to a different definition, and that sort of led to these issues. So we're trying to address that with this latest contract modification to basically require a higher level of service for some of these stations. So that's something we're actually in the midst of finalizing at the moment. So we hope to see those details, or we hope to see that contract modification go through later this year. I'm really not certain how long these things take. My colleague, Aaron, usually handles those, usually handles the contracts. He's now on parental leave, so it's now to me, but we're going to shepherd it through as quickly as possible. But yes, we are aware of the issues, and we are looking to address it. And of course, having more stations in the area also helps with this rebalancing. Because it's more areas for people to dock bikes, makes it more useful, so on and so forth.
Totally. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just say that before you speak out, we'll make this our last one because we've got to be out of the building and we've got other agenda, but thank you.
Hi, this is Michaela Platzer again, and I have a quick question. Is it possible somehow to integrate the bike share with the bus? One idea to deal with this bus desert problem that we had, if you could jump and you could use your Metro card to simply transfer onto an e-bike or something, that could deal with that 10-20 minute wait, and perhaps you make it, a free transfer for within a certain radius of where you get off. So let's say you got off at Henley and you needed to get down to, I don't know, Barnaby Woods someplace, especially if you had an e-bike, that might be a possible way to deal with that last mile that's missing in some cases. So I don't know, it's just a thought.
That intersection at the middle of area in Nebraska, we spoke about it, like proper right there.
But some way to integrate them too is basically my suggestion.
Yeah, I can speak to that real quick. It is something we've pursued with WMATA. We call it, I think, fare trip integration or fare card integration. It's very complicated to do, and so it's something I think we've hit pause on for the latest bit, but it is something that is still on our to-do list. When that would occur, I don't know, but it is something we've thought about. So thank you for that.
And Greg, I want to thank you for your time, and we only have about 10 more minutes in our whole meeting, but if you're able to stick around in the chat and answer any questions, I know you can tell we obviously have a lot of interest. And the slide will be posted online, but in the community, and obviously if you're not taking a vote, this is not going conversation. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, will do. Thank you.
So this is a brief presentation by, I believe it's Katie Mann, on behalf of DC Smart Street Lighting Project. This is the project to replace all cities' old sodium street lights with energy efficient LEDs. I'm gonna elevate, I hope you hear the commissioners Adjourned, saying that we're running short of time, so I hope you're good and fast. Yeah. Sean? And to make you photos. How do I do that? I see him. I see.
Good evening, Commissioners. Yeah, I can hear you now. Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you, but I think you want to put something up on the screen, is that right?
I think you guys have it, but I can pull up the presentation, whatever's easier.
It's easier, for you to present.
Okay. Sure. Let's see. I think I have the ability. Yeah, I still don't have it yet, but
Does it not?
Brandon.
okay, it says I'm co-host now, so I should be good to go. And I am. So I hope you can see my screen. Let me get into the presentation mode. Can everybody see the screen now?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for giving us a few minutes on tonight's meeting. My name is Peyton. I'm joined by one of my team members. I see in the waiting room, Anna Hasagawa. She's here to answer any of the more technical questions that may come, and I'll just kind of run through the presentation really quickly. I believe she's here, and if she has any issues, we can kind of deal with that shortly. But just to kind of keep moving, getting through the presentation really quickly. So like you said, I'm here with the DC Smart Streetlights project. It's a citywide project that's kind of aims to modernize over 72,000 streetlights throughout the city. Doing so by converting streetlights to a new LED technology, which in turn will increase sustainability and reduce energy streetlight consumption by more than 50%. The project timeline, we actually started back in May of 2022. That was just some kind of initial prep work, design planning, and I'll go through these stages in the next slide, so I won't get caught up on them here, but then moved into the rehab work, which started in Q1 of 2023 and moved forward through Q4 of 2023. Then, which recently just started about a month ago, was the actual conversion work, which is swapping out the light from the old halogen to the new LED. And that will go on through May 2024. And then we have our, I can't see, I'm sorry. We have the asset management phase, which will last until May 2037. So quite some time. So the phases, like I said, it was the prep stage, which is a detailed design, the procurement and mobilization period. We moved into the rehab stage, which is work all around the district to upgrade the foundations, the poles, the arms, to make sure they're in good working condition. And then the actual conversion work, which is the installation of the light itself. The asset management phase of the project, which will go from the beginning of the project until 2037, is just streetlight maintenance. So we'll be here for the next 15 or so years of maintaining these lights. So then our outreach and engagement process, we like to come to these ANC meetings 45 days to any work beginning, 7 days to any work beginning. The residents that are impacted will receive a door hanger on the home, letting them know that within this period of time, you may see some work going on the street light, and on that card is any contact information. So if they have any questions, they can reach out to us. As well as no parking signage will be posted 72 hours in advance if there is going to be a parking impact due to the work. we do want to stay in touch with you. So we ask that you use the project website, streetlights.dc.gov. And again, if there are any questions, info@dcsmartstreetlights.com would be the best way to reach us and the project team. This QR code will take you right to the project website, where again, you can find kind of the upcoming schedule and then all the contact information for the project. And that is really the end of the presentation. I'm sure you guys do have some questions. Myself or Anna should be able to answer those.
We're going to keep this very short. This is Peter Goss. The last time this commission briefed on the subject, we were told that the installation of the new lights would reach our community in August or September of this year. Intuited from the timelines, the rather vague timelines in the presentation, that you guys are running at a slower pace. Is that correct? And if that is correct, when is it going to reach upper board 3?
Hi guys, this is Anna Hasegawa. I can take that. So for the rehabilitation work, you could see us there, and rehabilitation work is if there's any foundations that need to be replaced or any poles that need to be replaced or arms. You could see us in your ANC as soon as September, October. For the street lights, we will be in your ANC converting all the lights into LED. As of right now, the schedule shows January 13th through February 26th. We could be moving through the other ANCs a little faster, and that will result that will be at your ANC a little earlier than that or a little later. But right now, January 13th through February 26th.
Thank you. Any other questions from commissioners?
Are they? Yes, one question. Are you guys able to address, we had quite a few complaints on the current bulbs. Were those, do we know the status of that? Is this the same team that's working on that issue?
What Commissioner Gore is talking is that the city let go of the supply of sodium bulbs and started when the bulb blew out, replacing them with the new LED bulb, but there was not a lot of control of brightness, and so you periodically install these things, very bright lights in very residential areas. The problem, the complaints we've been getting have declined substantially, almost to zero. But is the city operating keeping the replacement solely with the new bulbs? And if they are they controlling the brightness?
I am sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding the questions because it seems like we're getting an echo.
Yeah, there's a bit of an echo coming through on our end, so we can't hear the question well.
What are you doing for replacement bulbs right now as we're in this transition period?
What kinds of bulbs? I'm sorry.
The kinds of bulbs and the brightness.
So I'm not sure that I got the question correct, but we're scheduled to replace all the bulbs that are not LED with similar color temperatures. So you're not gonna get any like super bright white lights. They're gonna tend to be or to follow the same color temperatures that you have. And the older bulbs are gonna be recycled according to the EPA rules. I hope I addressed your question. It's really hard for us to.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anna, I think the question may be more along the lines of lights that they're getting complaints out that are out right now. Is that?
Okay, so for those, for the lights that are out right now, you should follow the usual process, which is calling the 311 call, because the asset management company, our partners who are assigned to the asset management right now, should be going to your neighborhood right now or within, a week or two of your call, and replacing any light outs that you might have in your area. You should not have to wait until January when we're scheduled to replace those lights to get a new light.
Okay.
So whatever the DDOT, I think it's actually like 72 hours or something like that, right? That you should have a contractor in your neighborhood replacing any light outs.
Okay, thank you very much, John. We're really fascinated. So, that'll end our discussion.
Okay, thank you. Next order of business is ANC committee and task force reports. I don't know if we have a very short report from ZDD. I'll forego racial and social equity and Moray and put those on the website.
The ZDD committee will meet again Thursday here. I think from 5 to 6:30, although there's some dispute about it. It's from 5 to 6:30 or 7 to 8:30. I would take straight that and we'll talk about it on the local social media. We continue to discuss how to engage the community fully in the process of what we do here.
Okay, next order of business, committee business. Do we have any secretary or treasurer reports?
No.
Okay. Possible items for June 12th meeting. The only thing I have on the potential agenda is an update from Commissioner Principal Carrie Ricard and Michael. I think we were going to get back to her to reschedule.
Yeah.
I don't know if we still want to do that. We'll check and see if she's available. And then very briefly, we might have room for about 5 minutes of announcements. Are there any community announcements? Raise your hand. Anyone from the council member's office? Mopers, we have 1 minute. 1 minute. Go ahead, Matthew.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Barclay. I'm your Ward 3 Mokers. Please reach out to me or Derek Johnson with anything that you need with help with interacting with DC government. I, in the chat, have dropped quite a few announcements. However, I've given them to Lisa and Jim Nash to include in the minutes. So I'll keep it at that. Thank you all.
Thank you. Any other agencies have committee announcements? Commissioner announcement?
Yeah, if you live on McKinley Street, there are going to be speed bumps coming, and this starts the 10-day comment period on reacting to that. So I will post that to listener next door. And again, if you live on McKinley Street, look out for those announcements and respond to DDOT however you feel about those speed bumps coming through. Thank you.
Where?
I'm not entirely sure.
The only announcement I have is, commissioners, we need to have a administrative meeting with the 7-day notice. The earliest we can have it is the 29th, which is Monday, next Monday, but that is Memorial Day weekend. Is the 30th that Tuesday? Will folks be able to jump online for about an hour on the 30th? Yeah. Oh, thank you. And just quick announcement, everyone, that before you leave, if you can pick up your chair, put it in the back. Even if you fold it, we'll put it up. Brandon, please help us. If you didn't sign in, please sign in at the sign-in table. And thank you for coming. Tonight was a great meeting, great discussion on our topics, and thank you for joining us. continue in a week. Thank you. We adjourn. Thank you.